Mark, what Ellen was saying is she wanted to know we have a 11th session scheduled just to meet and say thank you and close the thing down. But she was interested in what to do next. So maybe while we're waiting for people to come, we can start there. And then if we have just the three of us, then we can continue on after we wait a bit. So, Ellen, I will open it up to you. What what are you wondering about in terms of where to go next?
Well, so first of all, I missed a couple weeks. My apologies. Once for travel, well, actually both for travel. One for travel day, and one I was at a retreat and forgot to tell you ahead of time. I apologize, but
It's okay.
it was a meditation, like no technology retreat, so I couldn't let you go once I let you know once I was there.
That's all right.
But so I thought the first thing I would do would be go back and do those 2 weeks on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I also thought I didn't. Um, at the end of every chapter, there was like an assignment you could do, like
Mm-hmm.
write with curiosity, and I did not do those. So I thought, well, maybe I could do that
Yeah,
for a
this is the
while,
dip
or
in. You can come back and dip into any of these exercises. I think I've probably done these formally with groups of people, since we've been developing this, maybe 6 or 7 times. And you can use these prompts to generate anything. So once you know how they work, which is the whole point of this class, just to give you an example of how it works. I mean, in a sense, if you were to go to the community college and take a course on carpentry, you wouldn't finish the course knowing how to build a prize-winning home, but you would finish the course knowing what a saw felt like
yeah.
and knowing how you could use the saw to build the prize-winning home. So that's part of what this is, to give you these prompts to use in your work, which is already advanced anyway. It's in a sense, these 40 prompts are like 40 little gadgets that you can add to your toolbox that's already there that you may or may not be able to use all the time, but you'll have when you need them. So that's what this is about.
Cool. Then I would like to get back to my presumed novel,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, like you say, try to use these tools to work on that. But I also thought I might, rather than return to the novel, I might just pick some like scenes from the novel and just write them, rather than trying to write a whole story. I don't have any writing classes under my belt at all. Like this, I mean, that's not true. I've taken like one or two along the years, but I was a math major. Like I don't have any. This is my framework right here so
Well,
far.
it's a good one. I mean, a
So
lot of what
yeah,
we have here is just us condensing all this information that we've collected over the last 30 plus years in a form that would be easy to deal with for people.
yeah.
And I think writing, exposing yourself to what other people do is fantastic. Mark, do you have any thoughts on this? Because you've been in this world a long time. Um,
Yeah.
what
Uh,
what 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 say you, sir?
yeah. Well, I mean, Alan, in your case, you might want to look at some great mathematicians who were also great writers, like G.H. Hardy, the great British mathematician from the 30s, wrote a book called A Mathematician's Apology. And it's a fabulous piece of writing. And okay, I took some math once upon a time, but I found it very easy to understand. There was no um, complexity to it that the less math friendly person would find troublesome. And there are others. I'm kind of blanking on some of the names now, but people like that might give you an insight into, oh, I might want to adopt this trajectory, uh, and if nothing else, you'll certainly be entertained.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have on my bookshelf at home, not here, I'm at my daughter's house now, but at home, I've collected over the years books that I really liked and thought, oh, I'd like to write a book like that, like in like the genre. So I like books written by women for women who grow, and it's the books I like to read. Every other book I read is one like that, and then I diversify in the other books. And so I have kept a bunch of those. And I kind of thought like I should just go read the first chapter of every one of those and just get some ideas of what people do, how do you start a novel or
I have a question for you that might move this along. I love the idea of the mathematical approach. This book that I often refer to, Western Wind, An Introduction to Poetry by John Frederick Nims. It's a textbook for college, maybe graduate students, and in it he covers all of the elements of poetry, including the golden numbers. And
Mhm.
it's a really interesting um, on nature and form, and that's where he presents the Fibonacci sequence, which is right
Mhm.
here. And he
I,
also,
I just want to say I'm sick of math.
I know you are, but he also presents all these other ideas as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Now, and framing it around math, even though you're sick of it, you are likely sick of the methodologies you've been dealing with for the last
yeah,
God knows how many years, right?
yeah.
And where I want to go with this is in terms of how do you get something done? That's the question you're asking, not what do I write, but how do I follow through? How do I keep that momentum going? How do I keep the fuel in the tank?
For
Is that where we're headed?
no, no, for me it's like I get excited and I'll write something and then it's like, okay, well that's 3 pages, but like a novel is like long, like how to
Hmm.
make the story flow. That's kind of what I don't. So that's why I thought maybe I should just start with picking some sort of scenes and writing them and just start practicing and then see if they don't see if something doesn't happen.
Okay.
People say you start writing and then the characters take over and they write their own story. That's never happened for me. I
I hate
mean,
people who say that.
it doesn't, I don't know. I can imagine it ha like happening for people.
Well,
But it hasn't happened. I don't know. I feel
well,
like I have to,
it probably does happen for some people, and it probably doesn't happen for others
yeah.
because the learning styles are very different. For example, I can't hear music in my head. I do not hear a sound in my head. It's not there. I know people who tell me they can't get a song out of their head. It's like having the entire radio station playing inside their brain
Yeah.
and they can't turn it off. Have the opposite problem. One of the things I'm able to do is visually, I can imagine a room or a scene in 3 dimensions. I can see people walking through it. It's almost like I am in a 3 dimensional movie. I am there with everything enclosed in that room, even all the details. It's an odd experience. So that's a learning style. Even though I can't hear music, I can do that. So some
Mhm.
people may have the characters talk to them. Other people may feel more comfortable with structure. What I was going to say about math, and then I'll get to some ideas around how you might be able to move this forward. Uh, a few years ago, I was in Normandy at this little writers retreat that I was participating in, facilitating actually, and a fellow named Maurice was there. Maurice was this intellectual guy, and I don't mean that in a critical way. Maurice was really, he was wonderful, and he lives in France. He's fluent in translations, and he's a well-educated Brit. So he was all over the idea of mathematics. Oh, he loved mathematics. And he was talking about all the math and this and that and the other. And I said, Maurice, I have no idea about mathematics. I was a terrible math student. I barely passed algebra. It just didn't work for me. I couldn't understand it. I would get the numbers confused and juxtapose them. And he said, I said, so I'm bad at math. And he said, no, you're not. He said, how far is it from here to the train station to go to Paris? I said, oh, it takes about 45 minutes. How much money do you have in your pocket? Well, I have probably 55 euro in my pocket. How long will it be before we have our gathering for dinner tonight? Well, I think it's going to be about 3.5 hours. How far is it from here to the car? How long would it take you to go from here to the car? Well, I could get there in about 40 seconds. He said, you have just done dramatically complicated math. He said, you are really inclined mathematically but you're not particularly good at academic mathematics. You can't write it down, but you intuitively know it. And that's what this fellow is talking about. We intuitively know the the relationships we have with all the different things that we work with and all our stories and how those stories fold together. And so even though you might not you might say, I'm going to intuit the engineering structure of my novel. I'm not going to write it down. In fact, you likely are creating that engineering structure of your novel as you go. It's not as seat of the pants as you might think, in the same way that when you do improvisational work, is a lot of mathematical stuff going on improvisationally. You have to decide which bits to choose. You have to decide how to organize them. You have to intuit how long or short what you say will be. When you speak, you're translating the words that you have in your mind through the muscles in your mouth and framing them mathematically. So you're doing all that at the same time. And when you look at it from that point of view and take math out of the academic arena, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have it. We couldn't do this call without it. But when you think of yourself as a mathematically inclined natural creature that leans into the mathematics of nature, then it becomes a very different proposition. You don't have as much obligation to it, and you just let it happen. And I think that's something to lean on. And then, like you've had a lot of mathematical training. So you can forget all that mathematical training when you do the writing, but trust that it's going to be built in there and transfer it over from the more codified teaching point of view into the creative arena. So it's playing out underneath everything in a way that can be very productive if you just lean into it. The same way that an actor forgets everything around the prep. And when the actor walks on stage or in front of the camera, blank slate. But the slate's not actually blank. It's just the blank moment that will be filled by all of the material underneath. So
Yeah.
that's my wrap on mathematics, and that's how you can get away from it. But and we're at 18 after the hour. I don't know, maybe nobody else is coming. So I'm gonna finish this idea out. In terms of finishing something or getting something started in your life, Ellen, can you think of a couple of times, maybe 3 times, when you have actually been thinking about something like, I need to do this. This needs to happen. Like I'm an example in my life, I was 31 years old. I had 2 years of junior college. It was 1981. I felt really diminished because I didn't have an undergraduate degree. And I was sitting there thinking, I need to go back to college and get an undergraduate degree. And something clicked. I'm going to do this. And nothing stopped me. Whatever that click was that said, I am going to do this. It's everything is at stake now. If I don't do this, I will vaporize. I have to. I have to take that mountain. And I did. And there are other times in my life when I've done that as well. Can you think of times in your life when that has happened for you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like changing jobs, like taking a new job and having to move across the country or something.
Okay.
I can remember those moments. Yeah.
What was going on in your thinking, in your life, in your approach that made that click happen? and what elements were at play in your strength base that
Yeah.
not only made the click happen, but by God, you did it. And you actually
Yeah.
look back and I started it and I completed it.
Yeah.
What was there?
So uh, a lot of those decisions were made like I was beaming thinking about it. Like I remember one time I was trying to decide what to do, and one of my professors said, "Do you remember how you felt when this happened?" Yes. Have you felt anything near that since then? No. Okay. I think your decision's made. You just haven't accepted it yet. And so as you were talking, I love to write. I've heard people say, most people don't love to write, they just love what they've written. But I love the pencil or the pen on the paper. I mean, I really love that. And so I think when I am writing, I love it. So I think the trick would be to just do it 5 days in a row, and I will remember why
Hi,
I do
Ryan.
this
Okay,
and get started. Yeah.
Mark, do you want to, Ryan? We were just waiting for somebody else to come, and we haven't actually started the work yet. We were talking about how to maintain our momentum and get started moving forward and keeping the momentum going. So that's where we are right now. Mark, do you have any reflection on that? What?
Yeah. So in the course of this workshop, I have, you know, it looks like 25 pages of stuff that I've written. Most of them are short. I don't think anything is even a full page, but I have a lot of material that I think I will want to continue to work on. Some of it's going to be poems, some of it's going to be short stories, some of it's going to be I don't know what, but I have a lot of material here. I have a lot of stuff that I can, pick and choose among to work on and ultimately develop into something, more polished than what it is right now.
Thank you for reminding me. I had thought I would do that too, but I forgot. So yeah. Oops.
So going back to, I love to write. Now, Mark, when Helen said that, did you believe her?
Yes, yes. I mean,
I
I feel the same way. I mean, I can sit and lose track of time completely and realize, oh my God, the football game I wanted to watch, it's halftime already, and I was just so wrapped up in it. Um, there's always moments of frustration where you find something isn't working well, but that's part of it too. You can't always just find yourself flowing like a river. Sometimes you have obstacles, and part of the joy is overcoming the obstacles that you put in front of yourself.
Yeah.
We make our own obstacles in our writing, and overcoming them is you know terrifically pleasing.
will say I love to write too. Ryan, do you love to write, or do you write? Do you love it, or do you just do it because it's kind of interesting?
No, I would say I love it. That's why I did it for as my job for some time. I don't think I'd be able to sustain like a job doing something that I didn't love or at least enjoy to some degree.
Okay, so for all four of us, that's the key. I love to write. I wonder if the love for writing needs to have a dramatic directional focus. It might. So, in other words, the first thing I would say for you is to keep that love in mind. And when you are in love and you're doing what you love, it feeds your it feeds the goodness of your sensibilities. It doesn't detract you. It doesn't take you into the negative spaces. It takes you into that feeling good space. So it doesn't seem to matter to you, and I can tell you it doesn't matter to me what I write. What matters is I'm just writing something. I mean, even if I just do this, little stuff like this. Just the act of it engages me. Now, if you want to take it public, I'm going to go public. That's a slightly different conversation. And if you think you want to write a novel. So what I would say to you, Ellen, is you're going to take that journey. I'm going to climb that mountain. And I'm not going after the peak, maybe not climb the mountain. I'm going to explore the mountains. I'm not climbing a particular mountain. I'm just going to go out and explore the mountains and see where it leads me. I love exploring the mountains. So I'm committed to going out and exploring the mountains. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
But
that feels great.
you must, I must, we all must. Hi, Rocky. I'm glad you came. We're just getting started. We're a little late in our work because Ellen was wondering about how to keep the momentum up, and she was worried that next week we might not be able to touch on it. So I thought I'll wait and see who else comes, and we'll address it now. So you're here, and that is really good. So we have I don't think Lynn is going to make it, so we're in good shape. So you came at the exact right time. So back to Ellen for a moment. And I'm preaching to myself, Ellen. I'm sitting here in Manila. I'm at the same time, Ryan and I are both in Manila today. Yay for us. Um, Thinking, okay, Nave, what the hell are you going to do with all of this? What are you going to do with it? How bold are you willing to be? How public are you willing to be? How much do you want to push? How willing are you to be the 76-year-old curious elder? How willing are you to risk things? How willing are you to no longer caretake as deeply as you sometimes do? Or how willing are you to take care of yourself? How much momentum do you want starting now? And the answer to that is I want a lot. I don't want a little bit. I want a lot. I do not want to waste everything I have accrued over the last 3/4 of a century sitting at a damn desk wondering, well, should I do this or should I do that? I want to show up and if there's a wall in front of me, I want to try to walk through it. And maybe the house will fall down on me. Maybe nobody will notice it, but I want to go in that direction. And I want to put content out because I trust myself. Not that, and I trust myself because I have all those years of experience to trust. So it's actually not trusting me, it's trusting those years of experience. And if you can nudge into that arena, then you can show up because the stakes are really high right now. If we don't do it, who will? And it's our turn. And when I say our turn, it's here we are. Why are we here? It's the creative's turn to put something out there and to do it consistently. So it's the consistency. And if you come back to the Western wind, the wind blows, it's consistent. The Fibonacci sequence is in play. Every flower that grows understands the Fibonacci sequence. There's mathematics involved in this. And it's not mathematics in the classroom, it's mathematical in the sense of I am a growing entity moving through this world. And I have to push this because I only have one life. And it's my life. And if I don't live it now, when will I ever live it?
Thank you.
And the stakes are high. They're high for all of us. And what do I mean by that? You may throw it out there and people might not like it. They may go, yeah, God, awful. Okay, fine. You don't like this? Here's another one. You don't like this? Here's another one. Like this. Here's another one. And and what'll happen is the 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 love and the discipline of showing up will reward you, and it is guaranteed to happen. It will absolutely happen, and it will reward you in ways that we will be grateful for. We being all those people out there that will get to connect with it. And even if it's only one person that's grateful, that's all that matters. And that, I think, is how to do this. So let's get started here. Thank you, Rocky, for coming. Ryan, thank you for sharing the same time zone that I'm in now. This is the last session, 10, Oxymoronic Inversion. I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs just to get you started with this. If you think back over the writer training, you'll notice how many pieces you wrote turned on contradictions, oppositions, and reversals. When you ranted about something you hate or other people love, or something you love and other people hate, you reversed expectations. So in a sense, what we are doing here in this analysis of how to go forward, we're reversing the expectations. There's an expectation that math is not at play. Reverse that expectation and say math is at play because we are living beings and it has to be at play. When you consider what wasn't there in a place, you may have noticed a contradiction between reality and how something was supposed to be. When you wrote about the elements, you collapsed the boundary between the natural and the artificial. When you investigated a villain character, you probably found a contradiction between the person's external and internal selves. So this is all about the contrast, all about the contradictions. If you want to write a novel, you throw the love into exploring what you would like to write about, and that novel might actually emerge. The ideas for it will come, and you'll say, this is the story I want to tell. Touching on the idea of us being storytellers. This is not us being writers. I want to tell you, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, that's where this starts. And the storyteller is essential to all human movement. And it always has been. And so we're in a tradition that's very, very deep. Your rational mind loves to assign categories to people, things, and experiences, but reality rarely falls into categories as your rational mind wants it to. Your imagination is amused by this. It gets fuzzy and energized when you question the neat interpretations and judgments your rational mind has made. Like a dog gnawing happily on a bone, it latches onto contradictions that can't be explained away, oppositions that can't be resolved, and reversals that couldn't be expected. So back to the empathy with the villain. Villains can be really and are really, really awful. The serial killer is a classic awful villain, and yet many people report serial killers are charming. And they fall for their ploys because of the charm. And they want to be charming too, like the serial killer. So there's a contradiction. So let's go to the first prompt. It's called Seed the Storm. And the oxymoronic inversion, an oxymoron is something that's the opposite of something. So we thought oxymoronic inversion would be a great title for a chapter. And that's how it came to be. So so here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to take 5 minutes, and I would like for you to list what you need to live, what you need to be sane, what you need to be happy. What do you need to live? What do you need to be sane? What do you need to be happy? And one thing I need to live is water.
Did you say the second one is what do you need to sing?
No, what do you need? What do you need to live? What do you need to be sane? What do you need to be balanced? What do you need to be, not off the porch and wandering around the weeds in the middle of the night, not knowing who you are? What do you need to be sane? And what do you need to be happy? And happy is a funny state because keep in mind, happiness is an emotion. So happiness comes and goes. And all of the emotions that we have in our psychology support all the others. So what you need to live, Need to be sane, need to be happy. Take 5 minutes, make that list. And wind it up. Okay. Moving on, keeping the pace up. What I'd like for you to do now is to take a look at that list of needs. And what you're going to find in that list of needs, you're going to find a lot of contradictions. So one contradiction that would be obvious, I need to see the world. I've always wanted to see the world. I need to stay home and take care of my children. It's a wonderful Christmas. It's a wonderful life, the classic Christmas story, when George needed to go out and do something beyond the town that he was working as a banker in. But then he realizes that he has to stay home and be part of the community. So that those two needs fought against each other. And that's what made that movie work. And that's often what will make almost any good movie work. Um, so what I'd like for you to do now is to circle the 5 needs that you determine are the most important needs in your list right now. That they might change, but circle the five needs that you determine are the most important needs. Okay. Do you have them circled? All right. So let's read them. So Ellen, what are the 5 needs that you have circled? Just get a quick review.
Yeah, so some kind of security,
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual path, curiosity, nature, and journals and notebooks to write in.
Okay. Mark, 5 needs that you've circled.
Food, shelter, money, relationships, accomplishments.
Okay. Ryan, 5 needs.
Water, air, shelter, money, and my parents.
And what?
And my parents.
Now there's an interesting need, because what's going to happen when your parents need you? Here comes Alicia. Very good. Okay. Rocky, would you tell us your needs?
Um, Yoga, wisdom, warm water baths, friends, and beauty.
Yoga, wisdom, warm water baths, friends and beauties. All right. Alicia, are you with us? Hi there. Glad you made
Hi,
it.
me too. Thank you. Sorry.
Let's just, I'm going to ask you just to, take a deep breath, buckle your seatbelt, and dive right in. You ready to go? Look at her. She took the cue. Um, give on your paper, write
Mhm.
down 5 needs that require that you need to be happy, that you need to be sane, and that you need to live? What are 5 primary needs in your life? Just jot those down really quick. We just spent 5 minutes jotting down more needs, but we need 5 of them. So just for now, off the top of your head, give us the 5 needs that you value the most right now.
Okay. Solitude, silence, friendship, nature, um, uh, movement.
Okay, great. All right, so here's where so you're diving right in. So what I'd like for you to do now is take, and we'll do this for 5 minutes because we starting a little late because we were waiting for us, Ryan to come in and Rocky to come. So we were having a discussion on how to keep the momentum going in the writing while we waited. So started a little bit late.
Great.
So gonna make this a 5-minute timed writing, and I want you to, and this is not so much a writing as it is, and you can do writing with this, or you can just make notes on it. So here's what I want you to examine. Have those 5 needs all led you in the same direction? Have those 5 needs all led you in the same direction? Or have you found a tug of war between those needs? Have they led you in the same direction, all these 5 needs that are really important to you? Or have you had a tug of war between the two where they caused conflict and tension? So take 5 minutes to do a little bit of writing on that. So here we go. Another 30 seconds. And wind it up. Okay. What did you discover when you were examining these contradictions? Yes, Alicia.
The tug of war is between my old habit of tending to the needs of others at the expense of my own, not enough time to do all of it, etc. I'm much better about that now. But when I fulfill these needs, they all lead me in the direction of my own authentic nature and expression.
Okay. So another thing, anything else? What else did you come across? Anybody
That's as
else?
far as I got. I'm not
Okay,
actually
yeah. That's
sure
okay. That's cool. Yeah.
if I addressed the
You did
if I got
exactly
the exercise. Okay.
you got the exercise. This is just all about, it's all about all of these needs that we have that we put so much value on, and sometimes we might not stop and say, okay, why? What's really going on
Yeah.
here?
Okay. That's where it could
What's
take us.
happening? And then that's where the contradictions come. And in
Got it.
storytelling, the contradictions are what drive stories. That's what will get somebody's attention when there's a contradiction and the tension arises and you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. I mean, and that's
Got
why
it.
people watch fires or fish tanks. You don't know what the fire's going to do next. You don't know what the fish will do next. So you'll sit there and look and look and look. In some ways, it's the same thing watching a stream flow. I'm sitting beside the stream watching it flow. You just don't know what it's going to do. What else? What other insights came out of that? Anybody else?
For me, tug of war described it so well because it wasn't like one was good and one was bad or anything, one was right and one was wrong, but just a tug back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. And when you're telling stories and writing stories, that's always there. And one of the things that you find in this inquiry, these are the same questions actors ask when they're developing characters. Okay, what is the primary need of my character? What does this character actually want? What do I want? How can I build this character around the needs that I personally have? So, like, for example, the need for money. Ryan said, I have a need for money. Mark, you said, I have a need for money. The question for the writer and the actor is, what's underneath that need? need. I mean, if you have money, I give you $10,000 bundled up in $100 bills and you put it on your counter. Has that need been satisfied? Probably not, because there it sits. It's what money will do that you have the need for. And what do you want that money to do? That's the fuel. The money isn't the need. Money is the fuel that will drive you in a direction that you feel necessary to live your life. So those are the questions that go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. Anything else on this? Keeping the pace up, moving to the next prompt. Oppositions. How many of you are familiar with Breaking Bad, the series Breaking Bad? Mark's familiar. Any of the rest of you have seen it, Breaking Bad? Ryan, not seen it? Rocky, have you seen it? No. Ellen? Okay, Breaking Bad is this set in Albuquerque. It's the story of this fellow who was probably the most genius chemist, worked in Alamosa, not Alamosa, but Los Alamos, and was recognized globally as a great scientist, a chemist. He ends up being pushed out of a company that he developed, and he becomes a poor high school teacher. And his name is Mr. White. Walter White could not be more ordinary. But Walter White has not been recognized. His need is to be recognized as a great chemist. And the second need is to, here comes Lynn. And the second need is to develop the, wait for Lynn to come. And the second need is to, hi, Lynn.
Hi, sorry.
That's okay. We're just moving through our exercises. So we're finishing the seed the storm prompt on the oxymoronic inversion, which is how needy are you? So we're looking at needs and the contradictions that needs have, and the kind of needs that drive us. So I was using a Walter White in Breaking Bad as an example. He's the failed chemist who is the high school teacher, but he wants to be the great chemist. So he decides to start making meth. So he ends up being the greatest meth maker in all of cartel land. And he goes from being known as Mr. White, the pure guy, to making pure meth and becoming known as Heisenberg. And that's his nickname in the world. That's his mythological name in the world of the great cartel dealers. And he has cancer. So we all know that he will eventually die of cancer. And then his death of cancer ends the series with his resurrection into the ultimate Heisenberg. So there's this contradiction between the two needs, good and bad, Breaking Bad. Mr. White gains purity by going evil and then resurrecting himself by, in a sense, doing good in the end. So there's your tension between the needs that you have and how you can build those needs out into stories, even if it's a story about yourself. Once you start to get insight on what the hell am I doing here? What do I really need when I sit down and have a conversation with somebody over a coffee in the afternoon? What is it? What is there? So moving to this prompt that's coming up now called oppositions. And Lynn, I'll just ask you to drop in with this. You're warmed up. You know what to do with your vibe. We're talking about opposites. So I'd like for us to make a list of opposites right now. So here's an example, and I'll ask you to write these down as we come up with them. So here's an example of an opposite: free, trapped. Write free, write trapped down. Another example of an opposite. Opposites would be order, chaos. Third example, up, down. Fourth example, dark, light. So now I'll turn to you. Ellen, give me a couple of examples of oppositions.
Easy and hard.
Everybody write easy and hard down. Give me one more.
Beginning and ending.
Good. All right. Mark, a couple of examples of oppositions.
Anxiety, confidence,
Anxiety, confidence,
diversity, homogeneity.
diversity, homogeneity. Ryan, a couple of examples of opposites.
Spacious and tight,
Mhm.
and then big and small.
Great. Notice how simple these are. That every single one is really complex, even in its simplicity. Back to math, right, Ellen? 1 and 1 is 2. Rocky, what do you have for oppositions?
Sound and silence,
Nice.
and light and dark.
Great. Okay. Alicia, please, oppositions, a couple. And you're on mute, so you'll have to come off mute, Alicia. Thank you.
Docile and rambunctious.
Yeah, you love your kids, right?
And contracted and expanded.
Lynn, a couple examples of oppositions.
Tall and short, black and white.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, I tried to get onto the call the other day and I
I
just
know.
couldn't do it. So I'll try next week.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
A lot of people had a problem because I don't know, Lee had a problem with his Zoom something or other. I don't know what, but
Well,
anyway, we all managed in the end.
yeah, it was probably good I didn't come because I'm in Manila and still a bit little
Yeah.
foggy with it, was
Yeah.
foggy with the jet lag. So, okay. So did everybody write those? You get a sense of the oppositions? Okay. So now what I'd like for you to do is to roam over these oppositions and hook onto one of them and write about a time in your life when those oppositions defined a situation. Those oppositions defined a situation. And we'll do 10 minutes on that. Oppositions defined a situation. See you in 10. One more minute to go. And start to wind it up. And finish it out. Here's your question. Did the oppositions that you worked with stay binary? Or did things start to pop up along the way that surprised you regarding these oppositions? And it's a time when the oppositions defined a situation. Here's a good example for me. If you've ever been in a city, New York is a good example of how this works. This happened to me in New York more than once. Come out of the subway, and I'm walking south to a dinner party. Headed south down 6th Avenue. Walking, and 2 or 3 blocks pass. And I keep seeing the Metropolitan building. And I'm walking south down 6th Avenue. And then I see the Empire State Building. And I'm walking south down 6th Avenue. Now, if you don't know anything about New York, it won't make any difference to you. But if you know this, if you come out of the train at Washington Square Park and you start walking south and you're seeing the Met Building and the New York and the Empire State Building, you're walking north, whether you like it or not. And I have walked north looking at the Empire State Building, thinking I can't possibly be seeing the Empire State Building because I'm going south. And then I realized, no, I've been walking 4 blocks north when I thought I was going south. And I have to stop. And when I turn around, I'm really confused because I'm now going south, but I think I'm going north because I was so convinced I was going south when I was going north. So there's dramatic contradictions. Now, that doesn't matter if you're going to a dinner party, but if you need to get to the hospital and you go 4 blocks north instead of south to the hospital, you've got trouble. There's your tension. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from this? Anything come up?
I think mine stayed in opposition.
Yours in opposition. Okay.
I realize how precious freedom is.
Precious freedom is. Any tension come into the story? Rocky, you have a smile on your face. You're always smiling, so I don't know if that's just your state of mind.
There's like an acceptance.
Ah.
Hey, I'm going to have to go. I'll see you.
Okay, Mark gave me a heads up that he has to go. So Mark, thanks. He's gone. See, did you see how quick he went? Did he even exist? I don't know. Rocky?
I was smiling because I thought where you were taking us is that these two opposites kind of maybe have come together or, get resolved in some way. But then in your story, I was like, you can't ever really go north and south at the same time. So I guess that's not where he's taking us.
I'm not taking you anywhere. I'm just giving you some things to explore around how oppositions work. And that's an example of the opposition, or, the opposition of the person who always claims, I'm very shy. I want to stay invisible. Well, visibility is the opposite of being invisible. Maybe that person really wants to be visible. So you have this contrast between what I officially want, which is I'm very shy and I'm a wallflower and I just want to be invisible, but really they'd like to put on a dress and dance at the ball. Here we are. I want to be Cinderella dancing at the ball. I don't want to wear the ashen frock. So there's always that contradiction. So that's where I'm just suggesting that these are always there, and when you play with them, you can end up with some really interesting takes on the stuff that you're trying to write. Um, and there's also, it's like somebody being helpful can also get in your way. So being helpful may be hindrance. So what I think is helpful, and I'm going to help you, Rocky, do something, and I'm really being very helpful, but I'm really blowing your whole strategy because I'm throwing something into the mix that just doesn't work for you. But I'm so convinced that I'm helping you that I'll drive you crazy and maybe lose you as a friend because I'm trying to help you do something you don't want me to bother you with. So there's your opposition. So but we'll take a break, but before we do, I'd like to do the James list. So keeping on with the oppositions and keeping on with all of these contradictions. So much of what we believe may or may not be true. So I believe in A, and yet the facts prove that A might not be a factual belief. Okay. So there's a lot of contradiction here. So how many of you know the word shibboleth? Shibboleth. Shibboleth. Shibboleth.
Did did we talk about this before, or is it my imagination?
It's not your imagination, although your imagination is fine, Lynn. And yes, we have talked about this before.
And I
Yeah,
wrote it down and I forgot.
you wrote it down. See, your imagination is working. Oh, it's just great. Shibboleth. Anybody else hear that word? Okay, you will occasionally hear journalists talk about shibboleths. They'll say, and they'll use the word shibboleth. Here's what a shibboleth is. It's it's a saying which seems true, but it's often not true. Now, where it comes from what I've learned, back in, a couple thousand years ago, along the Jordan River, when people were fighting it out amongst the groups, the one group won and the other group lost. So after the battle, the group that won was camped out along the river, and the group that lost was vanquished. But some of the fighters from the group that won were staggering back to the camp, and so the guards on the perimeter of the camp would say, "Halt! Who goes there?" And then the person approaching the guards would be asked to say a word. And in the tribe that had won, the word was pronounced a certain way. And if you didn't pronounce it that way, you would immediately identify yourself as not a member of the tribe, which means you're actually from the other side. So you would be killed. But if you said the word properly, the right way, you would be admitted into the room. So that's where the word shibboleth comes from. And it's something that a group will recognize as a truth that may actually not be a truth. So here's some examples of how we use shibboleths in modern times. Artists have to suffer. Often you'll hear people say that. Artists have to suffer. Artists must suffer. Love conquers all. How many times have you heard that? Love conquers all. The body knows how to heal itself. In wellness circles, that's accepted as a truth. Here's a little one that's a little bit easier to dispute. If you put gas in a car when the engine is running, it will explode. And then the fifth one, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. For Ryan, that's Las Vegas, the gambling capital of the world. That's what they're talking about. So when you go to Las Vegas, because it's also it's called Sin City. You can go to Las Vegas, and once you cross the city limits, you can sin all you like because the mayor tells you that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That is not true. The only thing that stays in Vegas is your money, and the rest goes home with you, whether you like it or not. So each one of these is not true. Artists have to suffer. Absolutely not true. Some artists suffer, but not every artist suffers. Ellen asked a provocative question earlier when we were talking before everybody came. How can I keep my writing momentum up? And I said, well, tell me how you feel about your writing. She said, I love my writing. When I write, it feels really good. That is not an artist suffering. Come on, please. You might be doing other things and you might be suffering in other arenas, but that is not suffering. I love what I do. It's the complete opposite of suffering. Love conquers all. It does not. It never has, it never will, it will not conquer all. Love can fuel your momentum. I love to write, but love will not conquer. Your love for writing will not conquer your rear end in the way your rear end feels if you sit there too long. There's a lot that your love for writing won't conquer, but it does not conquer all, but it conquers much. If you put gas in your car when the engine is running, no, it won't explode. If you put gas in your car and you light a cigarette and you drop the cigarette into near the gas that's going into the car, it's likely to explode. But the car running actually won't. Maybe 50 years ago, that might have been true. And then, as I said, what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. It goes home with you. So for this exercise, we're not going to do any writing, but I do want you to take 5 minutes. And I'd like for you to list shibboleths that you encounter, that you think might be true, that you've used before. Shibboleths, that things that you think are true and that you say all the time, and yet might not be as true as you think. So take 5 minutes to take a stab at that, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. Yes, Rocky. Your hand is up, but yes. Oh, I think Rocky had to go. Okay.
It was in the chat. She said she needed to go.
Okay. Okay. Here we are. Contradictory beliefs. Things you might think are true, but may not indeed be true.
That was fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Alicia, give us some of some of what you have on your list.
You die the way you've lived. I'm in the hospice field. That's a common saying. Time heals all. What goes up must come down. If you make a bad face and the wind stops, your face will freeze with that expression on it.
Oh, that's good.
That was my grandmother. You can run, but you cannot hide. The early bird catches the worm. There's no rest for the weary. Good will always prevail over evil.
Those are shibboleths. Those are classic shibboleths. Good does not always prevail over evil, does it? We have seen that many times. It makes you feel good to say it, but it's just not true. Sometimes good will prevail over evil. If you're writing a story, can you write a story that has good prevailing over evil? In Breaking Bad, Walter White broke bad, became the great drug dealer, but his what he wanted in the end prevailed, and he felt good about it. Good prevailed over evil. Ryan, what about you? What do you have? Some of your
Um,
shibboleths.
I have blood is thicker than water. Work hard so you can be rich or successful. Honesty is the best policy. Um, and all you need is love.
Okay. The thing about the shibboleth is these shibboleths are all true. I mean, you do need love. Honesty is a really good policy. And I would like to believe that honesty is the best policy. But I know it's not always true, even though I really want to believe it. And I hate to think that it's not. Lynn, what about you? You've done this before. What shibboleths do you have? And Lynn, you're on mute. You're on mute, Lynn.
I had a bit of a blank over this. Um, this is my grammar. You'll have bad luck. It's bad luck to walk under a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your wish will come true if you make it under a new moon. Eat fish on Fridays, it's brain food. Red and white flowers equal death. And that's what I had. I mean, in England, they won't send red and white flowers in a hospital. They'll never deliver red and white flowers.
Because they equal death.
Yeah.
No, and that's not true. It's or like in I know in the Philippines, and Ryan, you can confirm this, but if you get rain on your head, you will get a cold. Is that true?
I mean, I think it's true. Like I try to avoid it as much as possible, but I've been rained on and I haven't gotten sick, so it's
Exactly.
probably not.
Yeah. And I mean, Tish, when I first started coming here, she just simply could not understand why I would go and to the car and the rain would fall on my head. If it rains on your head, you're going to get sick. And I'm going, I haven't gotten sick ever with rain on my head. I love having rain fall on my head. It makes me feel well. So it's a shibboleth. Uh, Ellen, what about you?
I'll say in America, I can't tell you how many people think if you go outside in the cold, you're going to get sick.
Well, it's the same idea. Yeah.
Exactly. It's however cold is where the germs die. Okay. When you get on a plane, you have to turn your phone off for safety. Doesn't affect the plane. An
No,
apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Oh, yeah, I
not
had that. Yeah.
not true.
Yeah. NyQuil helps you sleep better.
Oh, thank you, advertising.
Not for everyone. Um, Someone already said that one. Teenagers will be rebellious. Not all of them. Um, Hard sciences are harder to learn and teach than soft sciences. Um, okay. If you don't accept Christ as your own personal savior, you're going to hell. Um, I don't know. That's enough.
That's enough. And you do bring that's the last one about Christianity and the beliefs of Christianity. That's a powerful, powerful proposition. And it does take us into the realms of belief that cannot actually be factually checked. I mean, you can say, well, the Bible says it, but that's not an actual factual check. And for example, the best example of cognitive dissonance around that belief, and this happened in the last 6 months, no, 6 or 8 weeks. There was a large group of people, and I just read a little bit about this. I didn't really keep up with it, who who believed that there was a day in the recent past when the rapture was going to happen. Jesus was going to come, and the rapture that's spoken of in the book of Revelations would happen. And I don't know how familiar you all are with that, but it, basically says everybody who believes in Christ will be lifted up into heaven, and the rest of us poor saps will be left in the muck. That's that. End of story. Thank you very much. Off to hell you go. The day passed and nothing happened. And these people were caught in the same problem that I had walking north when I thought I was going south. And it took them a while to figure out it didn't happen. And as they readjusted their shibboleths, they re-rationalized it to explain why it didn't happen and why it was going to happen later down the line. So the point of this is that we will believe things that we can't confirm factually. And once you believe it, there is no amount of scientific data, factual data that will dissuade you. You simply will not be moved, or at least a lot of people won't be. And it becomes an identity factor. So when you're writing your stories, when you're thinking of yourself, even if you're writing a memoir, when did that play out for you? When did something you believed in so strongly really affect your life in a way that took you off the beam in a direction you didn't really want to go in, that wasn't that productive? Or, did it take you in the other direction? So those are some of the values and that you can have with the shibboleths. Let's take are you all ready for need a break? Are we okay with it? I know that some of you just came, Lynn, you just came on, but let's take yes, Lynn.
No, I was just I read what it said in a chat GBT about shibboleth. And they describe it as originally it referred to a word that one group of people could pronounce correctly and another group could not. So it became a way of identifying outsiders or enemies.
Right, that's exactly right. That's where I got that as well. Like, for example, if you grow up in Western North Carolina, there's an area called Leicester or Leicester. If you grew up in the area, you referred to it as I'm from Leicester. If you didn't grow up in that area, you would say I'm going to visit a friend of mine who lives in Leicester. Same place. So by the way you say it,
Whether you're
People in New Orleans know by the way you pronounce the word where in New Orleans you're from. I'm not from there. I'm from a different part of Louisiana, but they definitely can tell where they're from by
Mhm.
how they say it.
and in England we call it New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, New Orleans. Yes.
Well, in
New
France,
Orleans, yeah.
yeah, in France it's Nouvelle Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nouvelle
But I mean, it's
Orleans.
like Nolans, or I mean, they're just all these different little,
Nolan.
accents, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
just
like anybody who lives in Melbourne says they're from Mebane.
hmm So the point of knowing about this is once you become aware of it, you'll see it played out over and over and over. And you also can examine your own life and say, well, what do I believe in that may or may not be true? And when you move into theology and God and the spirit world, Ryan says she believes in ghosts. I don't disbelieve in ghosts. I've just never seen one. I don't know if they exist or not. So I'm not saying they do or they don't. But when you have beliefs that you can't confirm, what I like about it is if you can commit to the fact that you don't need to confirm the belief, but that you believe it anyway, then you've eliminated a lot of tension. I don't need to prove to you that ghosts exist or don't exist because I actually can't prove it, but I can go ahead and believe it, and that's fine. So a character can choose to believe something. Just because you believe it doesn't necessarily make it scientifically true. And if you think of infinity and the multiple dimensions that exist forever, maybe it's true. Maybe everything that we think of is true somewhere out there in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. But from a writing point of view, you can really play with it. So let's take a 5, 7 minute break, take a breather, and come back and finish the afternoon out or the evening out or the morning, depending on where we are. See you soon. Alicia is back. Alicia, you live in where do you live in Santa Fe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You like it there? You enjoy it?
I do.
That's good. Yeah, I know a few people. There's a storytelling crew that lives there. Storytellers.
Yeah.
And then Julia Cameron lives in Santa Fe. You ever run into Julia?
Yep. Every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's a it's an odd mix of things, but it kind of works.
Allie McGraw, do you know her? You ever
I've
run?
met her, but I don't really know her. Yeah.
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 She
Yeah.
lives there. She's a good friend of Lynn's, actually.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I was just staying with her.
Yeah.
After Charles, I went to stay with her.
Well, tell her. I keep thinking I should give her a call and connect with her. I never seem to get around to it, but
She wants to see you again.
I know. I had the greatest evening with her years and years ago. A friend of mine named Chris DeFilippis said, Nave, there's this music thing going on. It's at south of Houston, and you want to come with me? And he showed up, and Allie was with him. And I don't know how she knew him, but that's where we met. And it was raining, and we walked a whole bunch of blocks and went to this music thing. And that's how I got to know her. It was a night in New York, very rainy and cold, and we were all just trudging down the street to some little music club.
Yeah, it was a shame you couldn't come and join us for dinner because we know that when Allegra came,
Yeah,
when Ali and I were, when I was staying with her and we had dinner and Allegra came and I think you were away. I don't know where you
I
were.
might have been away. Yeah. Well, maybe are you going to come to Taos in April
No,
or?
sadly not. We're planning to go. I can't remember where Bernie's planned a trip.
I was thinking if you showed up, we'd go down and hang out a bit. But I don't have to have you to be there. I can just reach out to her and go have dinner. I just anyway. She was always really sweet to me. I have to say. No, no, no. I guess it's because I'm important, right, Lynn?
You're important.
There you
You're
go.
you're a famous poet.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Speaking of fame, we have famously arrived, my friends, at the last prompt of the book. So why don't we dive into it, and then we will have a chance to read our work. So this is the magnetic paradise, or the magnetic paradox. Um, Life is a magnetic paradox, magnetic paradise. That's where I want to go. Um,
We know what side of the paradox you're on.
I'll tell you what. So here's a list of some paradoxes that you can work with as writers, and we'll finish the session out with this. So a paradise that is also a prison, a paradise that is also a prison, a great burden that was also a deep joy, a handicap that was a source of strength, a struggle that is also a comfort, a catastrophe that brought you a treasure. So, what are some things in your life that you thought were good that turned out to be bad, or you thought were bad that turned out to be good? Just think about those for a second. A good example would be prostate cancer, which I had, and I really thought it was bad, and it turned out to be a blessing after I had the prostate removed. The insight that came was worth it.
I heard a story this week of a football player, a professional football player who failed the drug test, and so he had to he was suspended from the game, but he didn't take drugs. It turns out it was a sign of testicular cancer.
There you go.
He had surgery, and he's not playing yet, but he's back on the sidelines of the
There's your
field.
story.
So grateful.
Yeah, there's your story. Yeah. Um, Now, if you have one in mind that was in your life, um, you know, focus on it. You don't. It's this. It can be just anything. Paradox. And so, write for 10 minutes and think about the what energy did this paradox generate. So, like if I think about the prostate cancer and it being very negative, what it did was after I had the surgery, I wrote a manageable memoir called 100 Days Poems After Cancer. I wrote 100 poems back to back, 100 days starting the day after the surgery. And I didn't miss a day. Talk about energy and momentum. I was determined to go because if I missed one day, then the whole thing would fall. It had to be 100 days. So the energy that came from doing that was absolutely exquisite. So out of my problem rises creative energy that even to this day, all these years later, still sustains me. So for our last prompt, choose something in your life that's a paradox that you think is bad or think was good and turned bad, or either way, and spend 10 minutes exploring it. And we'll finish with that. So off you go. So let's read some of this. But before we do, let's just note that this is the last prompt of our 10 session series. This is it. You've created 40 different pieces of writing. What will you do with it? We don't know. And if you missed a couple of sessions, oh, I'm not on visual. If you missed a couple of sessions, then you can go back and and do that work, and you can generate material then. So, any thoughts on what you just wrote before we read? Anything you'd like to say, or do you want to just dive into the reading it aloud?
I couldn't half finish my story.
Oh, well, that's the beauty of it. You just put the end at the end and be done with it, you know? Do we ever finish? Why don't you go ahead and read the work, and then we can then chat about it afterwards. And then we will have one more meeting next week, and it's not a formal meeting. It's just a gathering to read, to talk, to explore, ask questions, that sort of thing. So who wants to start? Offer something. Okay, Alicia, you go.
I broke my ankle a month ago, and it stopped me in my tracks. I'm in a cast. I can't walk on it, can't drive, can't fulfill my caregiving duties for two family elders, a horrible inconvenience. I had to cancel a trip to the Bay Area where I was looking forward to visiting friends and places of great beauty for 2 lovely weeks. So many thwarted plans. I can't hike with friends. I can barely get out onto my patio. And yet, it stopped me in my tracks, made me slow way down, shift the focus from the needs of others to those of my own, allowed me some much needed introspection time, a time for deep quiet, and for some significant healing of old trauma patterning. Gave rise to a few amazing dreams, turned me into a homebody temporarily, which I'm loving. And these many weeks not walking are segueing into a lovely time of year for turning inward, a chance for some creative retreat time and writing time, sitting in front of the fire taking stock of this remarkable year, letting things integrate in the quietest and gentlest of ways, a reunion with self, and a time to prioritize a number of things, a New Year's reckoning with plenty of time for honest reflection and contemplation.
Beautiful.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Hardship into blessing.
That's fantastic. I mean, my gosh, I was thinking that would be a nice post. You could put that up on Substack or social media, something, whatever. Those are the kinds of things that allow us to lean into our own thinking and inspire it. That's why I said earlier, this is an important time for us to do this, because it gives insight. I love the idea of sitting around the fire, just sitting around the fire, the broken leg, the broken leg incident.
That's right. What else are you gonna do?
And maybe,
But
yeah,
that's kind of nice, actually.
yeah. The official version is I want to go out and hike and conquer the mountains, but basically I
know.
kind of like the fire,
But
forget it.
I'm getting the hang of this.
Yeah,
What
beautiful.
were you gonna say, Lynn?
No, no, I was so, it was so impressive to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I don't. I have a beginning.
Lynn has a beginning, but so let's hear what your beginning is, and maybe we'll discover the end. Lynn, you take it next.
Oh, well, okay. Adrenaline. I thought my life had come to an end as I left the American Embassy in London, having had my visa revoked after a false positive AIDS test. That was back in 1985, the day Reagan brought in a new legislation. No one is allowed into the States if they're HIV positive or have AIDS. I can't even remember if this deadly disease had a name at that time. Having had the horrendous task of telling my husband I was unable to leave for the States the next day, I spent time with my loyal and wonderful friend Genevieve, my AA sponsor. Whatever happens, she said, you have a husband who can afford to support you. Do something to do with AIDS. Start a charity. 10 days later, I was told that the diagnosis was a mistake, with no apology. I was steamed up. I had energy I didn't know I had. My visa returned. I took a plane to New York, met with a woman called Matilda Krim, whose husband worked with mine. Matilda was a great AIDS I didn't write this actually. Matilda Krim was probably the most knowledgeable person in the field of AIDS scientists at that time, worked with mine. She set me up with Marguerite Littman, who became my very best friend back in the UK. Marguerite was setting up her own charity, the AIDS Crisis Trust. I joined her and have worked in that field and in the field of AIDS ever since.
That has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Come on.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could maybe use some tension in terms of like what you went
Yeah.
when you found out that when you thought you had AIDS,
Yes.
and
Oh my
that
goodness.
landed in your psychology, thinking, oh my God, now what? So I would like to know what you thought. How did that change your view of yourself? How did that disrupt your status quo? And then when you discovered you didn't have it, you had adjusted one way. Here we are walking north when you're going south. You were walking, you thought you had AIDS, and then you discovered you didn't, but you had to adjust to it. I'd love to know how you dealt with that.
Yeah, I see. I've written a chapter on it in my memoir, actually, and
Hmm.
I have to read it and see because I think I did write about my feelings, but there just wasn't enough
Yeah,
time.
yeah, it's anyway,
It was
you've written,
you
yeah.
know, sometimes you block those really black times out. I think that neurologically, your brain protects you from the
Hmm.
horrors of those
Yeah.
sort of things.
And what time frame was that? This was in the 80s, right?
This was 1985.
Yeah, that was at the height. That was when it was really powerful. Yeah,
Yeah,
people were
yeah.
were
It was at
dying
the
and
beginning. Yeah, people were dying all around us. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's tough. So in a sense, you had AIDS for a while.
For that 10 days,
Yeah, psychologically, you had that.
and I had to wait. And there's a three-part diagnosis. Alice, stop it. Stop. There's a three-part, and so I had to wait. My doctor kept ringing me and saying, Lynn, and he spoke so slowly, he'd say, Lynn, I am happy to, oh no, Lynn, I'm ringing to tell you the results of the first part of your diagnosis, your AIDS diagnosis. And he spoke so slowly, I want to say, hurry up, hurry up.
Hmm.
And it is negative. And then and that happened three times
Oh
until
gosh, yeah,
I was okay. It was a
yeah.
dreadful 10 days.
I hear you.
I have written
So,
that.
Lynn, no, Ellen, you're next. Give us what you have.
All right. Lauren is my daughter. When Lauren's doctor suggested a medical treatment of which I have no memory, and she responded, "Are you sure?" Her doctor answered, "Lauren, we haven't been sure about a single thing since we met, but you are doing better today than any other time since I've known you. So I'm saying I think this is the best course of action." I was stunned. What happened to doctors know best? How could she not know? How could she say that out loud? How could she be so honest? From that day on, whenever I go with Lauren to any doctor, I listen to the questions, I listen to the answers, but mostly I listen to which way Lauren is leaning, and I agree with her that it sounds like a reasonable idea. Because how could I know when not even the doctors know? But if a decision she makes doesn't go well, she can place some of the blame on my shoulders rather than carry that burden alone. I learned that lesson a decade ago from that devastating moment. It has served me well in my mama's dying months, as my daughter has now become a parent. How many things really do have answers?
That's a great last line.
Yes.
It really, really is. And I wonder how many things really do have answers. Hmm. Maybe an answer for now, but maybe not tomorrow. Well placed, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So Ryan, how about you? And then Rocky, you can finish it out. Ryan, please.
I don't know who shot my dad. My parents never told me their names, only what they did. The two men cornered my dad's SUV one day and shot from both sides. They were attempting to steal money. An accomplice ended up dead. My dad wound up in the hospital. I'm lucky he's alive. Truth be told, not much changed after the incident. In a year, things were pretty much back to normal, though now my parents go to the bank at different times of the day. It's no longer like clockwork as before. My dad's a lot nicer to me too. I guess nearly dying can give you some perspective. He used to be mad all the time. I was terrified of his 5'11" frame and the way he towered over me. He could hit too, like my behind when I start to misbehave. I don't know what about getting shot in the chest made him a more loving father, but he laughs a lot now. He makes those stupid dad jokes and doesn't glare at me. Oh, sorry, and doesn't glare at me as often. He says I love you a lot and gives me lots of hugs. He's a good dad now.
Oh, oh, that's lovely.
Hmm. There's a lot there you can develop, Ryan. it would be interesting if you have the kind of relationship with your father that you can do this. You could sit down with a little pen and a notebook and just interview him. Say, "Tell me more." And we don't do that enough. And he might really, really open up and give you there could be some real tension, beautiful tension in that. What made him change so much? And maybe it surprised him as much as it did you. Maybe it surprised him more. Hmm. A little investigation job for the detective tomorrow or the next day. We shall see. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Rocky, would you finish it, please?
Yeah, I'm gonna um, read the opposites piece. Um, and before I do that, I just want to say, Ellen, your story just was like a healing balm for me today. I won't get into the details, but just talking about why one needs to write, I'll just tell you, just me today, I hearing it was just beautiful because I'm just dealing with so many questions. And so I was like, okay, I needed to hear that.
Thank you, Rocky.
Okay. The more I lean into solitude, I feel sound. I prefer to keep people at a distance. It's my medicine. It's when I can dance, I sing, I smile to myself, I breathe better most times. They say life is better with people, that loving another person is a blessing, that love conquers it all. Yes, I love. I love a lot. If it's a blessing, why does it feel like I have to choose between my solitude and the sound of another heart beating? Why does my heart need um, why does my heart need solitude to linger in the love of another? I love in silence. I love in solitude. Solitude in its spaciousness allows the light and the shadow. That's all I got.
Hmm.
Love. Beautiful.
Yeah, that is. Hmm. That's a the question of love and solitude. Sound of another heart. Say that line again. So where what was the line?
If it's a blessing, if love is a blessing, why does it feel like I have to choose between my solitude and the sound of another heart beating?
That is one strong line. That's a beautiful, beautiful poetic line. And it's such a good question. And maybe you don't have to choose. Maybe they're both available in different times. And they're both, one informs the other. So it's 23 minutes after the top of the hour, wherever you are in the great wide world that we're all in. And we will gather again next week. Just so please do come if you can. Love to just have the opportunity to just close all of this out. But before we go, anything you'd like to say? Any questions you'd like to ask? Love for you to think about things you'd like to talk about next week. Bring your ideas to the table. But for now, anything you'd like to reflect on before we say goodbye?
That was great fun.
Once again, yeah, and maybe I would suggest now that you have all of these pieces, even if you don't do anything with them other than just know they exist, it's proof that it takes some effort to generate this material, but it's proof also that it doesn't take that much effort to do it. This is not that hard. And that's a shibboleth. Writing is a very difficult thing to do. It's actually not. It's maybe difficult to sustain it over a long period of time. And it probably is difficult. And I know it's difficult or not difficult, but it's certainly demanding and to put something together that you can end up publishing, and that's another conversation. So it is something that you can do with great joy and great pleasure, and you don't have to do anything else with it because it really will inform the way you think. And this is all about thinking. And write what you don't know. Ignorance is your greatest asset, because all ignorance means is you don't know something. So it's an opportunity to learn. Rather than when somebody says, "Oh, you're so ignorant," you, rather than saying, "Please, please, I'm not ignorant," you can say, "Thank you very much. I am ignorant. I'm going to plan to use it as one of my great assets. My ignorance. What do you have to teach me today? Thank you very much." Anyway, anything else, friends?
Just how wonderful it is when you're writing even about something very familiar, how inevitable surprises are. And that's so rich.
That is rich, and it's also
Yeah.
consistent. Yes, it is.
hmm
Very
hmm
good. Well, I'm glad that you all learned everything you learned today. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot over the 10 weeks. I do it every time, and we'll see you next week. And so thanks. And Ryan, are we meeting in an hour? Is that the story?
Oh, no, it's already 9:30 actually. So that was my question before, if we're meeting at 9:30 or 10:30.
Okay. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and Ryan's going to stay on for a second.
Can't get my.
I don't know. It's almost
Um,
9:30 right now. I think we've been meeting at 10:30.
no, we've been meeting at 9:30, but because of daylight savings, in your time, it would have been, if we met at the regular time of your time, it would be 10:30.
10:30 your time, or our time. I'm on your time now. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that would be gosh, I don't know. Let's see what Allegra's saying, because I guess we could just stay on. I don't know.
Okay. Is Allegra back?
She is back, yes.
Okay.
Um, let me see. Let me just send her a text. Do you want to meet atomics? Question mark. We can do it now, or we can do it in an hour period. I said that. Which word is Benj available? Where is he?
Benj had to go to the doctor, so he might be late, but I think he should be available. He said he was gonna update me.
Okay. All right. So let's see what Allegra says. Let me just, maybe I can just give her a buzz right now. Hi, Allegra. I'm checking. I have Ryan on the Zoom right now. We just finished our class. Do you want to meet soon, or in an hour, or do you want to meet at all? Okay, in an hour. All right. Okay, great. Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll do it in an hour.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we'll go in an hour. How's
All
that
right.
sound? And
Okay.
then we're gonna rendezvous tomorrow at 11, right?
Yeah, see you.
Yeah, we'll
Are you
see each other.
excited?
I'm always excited about stuff like that. It'll be fun. Yeah. Tisha's got to drop me off. We're going to go. She needs to, I think we're going to try to test drive a car tomorrow.
All
She's,
right. Okay, cool.
and then we'll come over to the, what's it called? Half something?
Half Saints.
Half Saints. Half.
Yeah.
Tish, you know where that is? Tish knows where Half Saints is.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Hello.
I should fit right in.
Yeah.
I'm a half saint.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I never got any further than that. Too
Okay.
bad for me.
You're
Sainthood
half
will come.
there. All right.
But
Bye.
I'll talk to you in half an hour.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.